Just do it. That's the thing. It's all up to us. There's only so many graphs and information that one can take in from a YouTube video. When it really comes down to it, the proof is in the pudding, and you just have to do this yourself. That's really what it comes down to, man. Yeah, it's you just got to go through it. You got to walk the path.
Yeah, one of the things I've been not struggling with, but really getting like coming to greater acceptance with
Hmm.
is because we live in this realm of like mental activity right now. So there's so many people that say things, and my friend's been helping me with this and like understanding this. So many people that say things, and for me, it's saying something and doing it that matters.
Yeah,
And she's
exactly.
like, well, she's like, for them, saying it is what matters. I'm like, that saying something and not doing it. Literally, it's like, what's the impact? So, I mean, perhaps some long term eventually triggers something, right? I can look at things that I've changed on, like getting into going to the gym before I didn't. There was people that influenced me, but it was more through their actions. Like I saw it and I
Yeah,
was like, yeah, I actually really like that.
yeah.
But it's the saying and the doing. And so, yeah, the videos I make, give people a lot of good information, but then I really hope that I'm also influencing them to actually do it.
Hmm.
And I think the best way I can do that is through my example.
Hmm.
I think the best way that you can influence people is through your example,
Yeah.
and just holding that space. And that's really it's really important. We all have our own space to hold, and that's our responsibility and duty. And I hope everyone can, fully at the right time, divine timing, come into that as it's meant to happen.
Hmm. I think we will. I think we will. I don't know what
That's why
else
I'm
to
not a
say.
doomer.
A
So many
doomer?
doomers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everyone's so
Yeah.
afraid and like, oh, the world's so chaotic. It's like I
No.
haven't had to worry about being beheaded by Vikings, so I think this
Yeah,
world's
right.
actually pretty nice.
Yeah, and
Like
most
this
of
could be much
us,
worse.
yeah, exactly. Seriously, man. When you put it in the context like that, it's like it's life's really not that bad. I mean, it may be easy for us to say in our comfortable homes, but I think for the vast majority of us, especially if you're listening to this podcast, most likely it's not that bad, man. You're all right. We're gonna make it. We're gonna be
Yeah,
okay.
the problems of a different character, but yes, we don't have some of the overt like you literally could die at the age of 14 because some raiding party comes to your village or something,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
you're like a thorn pricks your finger and then it gets infected in some
yeah.
terrible way. Like it's just we actually have a real. I think instead of it instead of us seeing that like the planet's doomed or something, like we have to look at this from we have such a wonderful opportunity and gift. Everything's been lined up in such a way that the potential is so big.
Hmm.
you know Electric currents, the movement of these photons is created through these buildup of potentials, and the potential for humanity is like so large right now, and it just requires like just that first little ionization channel, like a lightning bolt, is you have this massive negative potential and positive, but the air is very conductive, or it's very resistive, sorry. So it doesn't allow electrical charge. But once they build up so much, it can actually ionize the air in between the two, and then the lightning bolt strikes.
Mm.
I feel like that's where we are with society right now.
Ah, it's a good metaphor. I like that. What do you think is going to be the lightning bolt at a collective, or maybe also we can take that into like in personal lives? What are some people's lightning bolt? Would you say the when the light bulb comes on, you could say,
Yeah.
and they get on this wavelength of being connected and the holistic path. Like, how do you think? Is it just grace? Would you say? Like, how do we get on this wavelength?
I definitely, I don't think you can say there's not like, a God component. That's probably the component, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's also in many ways like a build up. You have to build that potential, and it's just a function of once the potential is there. So, for example, I used to be a big meat eater, and now I have a little bit of like fish or whatever every now and then, but I haven't had any meat like land animal meat for a while. I went vegetarian, and then brought the fish back in, but I wasn't ever considering that. But then my sister is vegetarian. I didn't shy away from reading those research papers. there was people I met that were vegetarian. I think what happened is I just slowly accumulated these resonant energies from these people and from these things until eventually one day it was a lightning bolt for me.
Yeah.
Like it was like an instant realization for me. I was eating something and I was like, whoa, I can't do this. It's like, it was
Wow.
instantaneous.
You
So I
eating
had that
meat?
lightning bolt. Yeah, it was pepperoni pizza.
Wow.
I thought about what happened to the pig, and it just like all of a sudden it just flashed in front of my eyes. And that was just
Wow.
me, right? Everyone's on a different point. Everyone has their own nutrient needs, but um, it was a lightning bolt moment for me. But I think it was because those energies accumulated, and so we're still in this like accumulation phase. But I also think there are people that are having their own lightning bolt moments.
Mm-hmm.
Um, across a variety of things. And I think that's also like how you change the overall resonant environment too. Like
Mm.
maybe you make the air more conductive. So the potentials are there. They don't need to get so large because now the air itself is more conductive. Like, for example, during an earthquake, um, something that they notice before a lot of earthquakes is that the air at the surface becomes more conductive. It ionizes to some degree. It gets filled with positive ions. Um, and normally that air is very resistive. And so then that facilitates the movement of energy and everything. But that's the earth releasing energy from, her huge interior, whether that's the mantle, the inner core, whatever. Um, that gets pushed out and then ionizes. All of a sudden now energy can flow. And that explains why some people have bioelectric health effects from things like earthquakes or thunderstorms or
Yeah.
solar flares and stuff of that nature. So there's it might be the lightning bolt moment might not be some like human thing, or like our potentials are building, that's for sure. But it might be that the earth herself helps ionize the air and lower that barrier to entry.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden it precipitates and it's going to happen really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then
feel like
there'll be
that's
the
what's happening
long,
right now.
I feel like it
Like
is.
it won't be a day, especially in Earth terms and cosmic terms. But if you want to like think about how many people are quote waking up in the span of time, it's like this in terms of cosmic time. It's very
Yeah.
minuscule. It almost is like a light bulb. Mm.
Yeah. I think the solar cycle will be a big one because since the late 50s, the solar cycle where the sun flips its magnetic axis, its strength has been going down. So it's
Oh.
interesting because as its strength has gone down, the Earth has received less and less energy. But at the same time, our planet's been like warming up more because we're changing the composition and the actual frequency of vibration. Like CO2 vibrates differently than a different gas molecule. Um, so that's like how we're changing our resonant environment. But now, solar cycle 25 so far has been exceeding expectations. And it's going to be the first solar cycle that starts to then, it's like an inflection point where it starts to go up.
Oh.
And so now there's more energy coming in from the sun.
When is
And
that?
that should peak around 24, 25.
Oh
I
wow.
think it'll be 2025 that it'll peak, but it's a
Okay.
broad peak. But yeah, and then there's plenty of astrological evidence for that time frame. But that could be that environmental change that increases the connectivity between all of us, and things like the internet certainly are a big contributor to that. They allow for that rapid transfer of information, but we also have the Schumann resonances. Once there's a significant quantity of people that are resonating in that more natural holistic way, then all the tuning forks are going to kind of change their frequency, or at least a lot of them are, unless you're living highly insulated. And then, as one goes on, the other goes on, it makes it harder and harder to not shift your energy there.
Yeah.
And so some of us are more in tune or sensitive than others, or you could say early adopters. And then other people, they'll come on right at the perfect time for themselves, and their energy will shift and change. And yeah, it'll be really beautiful when it happens. And
Yeah.
the energy is all there. It's all built up. You just have to just be the best person you can be, and like the do no harm principle.
Yeah.
And I think we'll all be fine if we do that.
Yeah. Quite simple in that way.
Yeah.